right? So, what are UAVs? What are they for? Before the UAV, how it was used, how it is used today, cost options, why the city uses a UAV. Just another excuse, I guess. It was 40-something minutes. I kind of cut it down to 20. So we might be talking too much about something you don't want to hear about. So I kind of left it more open to questions in case y'all were wondering, you know, how do we do this? How do we get that or get it done in our city? UAVs are unmanned aerial vehicles. And I have an example of an airplane. And if you're really interested, this company right here, Flatride, they're the ones that got me started. Just go to their website, you find a lot of information on how to survey, a lot of free software, also what to use and how to use it. That's the same plane that you all saw on my earlier video. It's called the Penguin. And I gotta remember to turn this off because sometimes they start playing. And then here's a multi-copter. Of course, we have it here. But that's the software that I use to give it waypoints, and that's where the autonomous part comes in. We program some waypoints using the mission planner, and then we send it out and just launch it, and then we'll do what it has to do, and then come back. Then we have a helicopter. I decided to go with these cool ones that just came out for the military. Military is using these to scout and to survey, you know, areas, you know, without getting anybody in harm's way. So the military, like you just saw in that video, the Army uses them to send out, you know, and survey areas. You have search and rescue use them, police department, fire departments. For land surveying, we have some of the engineers, some engineering firms. There's some, and also some larger companies are starting to use it now instead of using land, you know, vehicles. For marketing, Farnow uses it when there's events and stuff like that. You know, we use it to promote certain events. And then surveillance, of course, we have Border Patrol, Homeland Security, and one of my favorites, which is wildlife protection. They use it out in South Africa to protect, you know, elephants and rhinos from poachers. And so that's how they can, a cheap way for them to cover a lot of land. And then you have hobbyists, and this is one of my favorite videos. This is why I use it. I consider myself a hobbyist. And this is really some of the things that I guess the fun parts that I get out of it. Doing something like this, and he's doing FPV, which is first person, which is, we also have that for our hexacopter. Look at the beautiful videos, you know, you can find them all over online. Just amazing things that you can do with this sort of thing, you know. And you have a lot of Hollywood movies now even starting to use the UAVs. And you can sit there for hours watching. Really cool. And so before, you know, you had, for Border Patrol, you had helicopter crews having to fly out and try to meet or to see if there was even something going on. You know, it was more expensive. It took longer to respond. You had the military who used to send scouts, right? So an actual person, go see what's ahead. Hopefully you'll come back, right? Police department raids. Sometimes you have failed raids. You never know who was in the building, if they were there or not, if there was kids or not. fire department, building rescue, sometimes firemen would get hurt or trapped because they wouldn't be able to see the roof, right? Sometimes that's a good sign or a big sign as to what's going on with the building. And with the UAV now, you can actually send it up and keep it there, looking at the roof, making sure, you know, kind of give you a heads up as to how it's going. And for marketing, here's one of the videos that we used to promote our new FAR Aquatic Center. That's our GoPro on the UAV. So I just programmed points going across, hit enter and let it fly. It's a simple video, but you know, FAR now is more of a video service. We have TVs all around the city and kind of keeps everybody in FAR up to date on what's going on. So all their videos are pretty quick. Fire department, this is a training video shot also. This is more raw footage. It's not really fixed up and has music and everything, but I just kind of wanted to show how the fire department uses it. And it's also like just to document who was there, how do you do something, how do you not do something. And this day was a trench rescue. So it was very windy, that's why it takes, and a lot of times that's the thing, that you get a lot of winds and sometimes it's not the right day, but you try to do your best to get the thing you can. And then there's GIS, up-to-date aerials, and I forgot to connect my hard drive so I can show you that. But police department also aerials. The Aquatic Center, we built it last year, and they were going to have a big event. I think some of the senators and some people went down, and if you look on Google, right, because everybody uses Google for the maps, they couldn't see the place. So they didn't know what area that we're talking about, how much area, how much space. They wanted to know, like, can we have somebody here? You know, what's the entrance, what's the exits? So I have to fly it and give them, you know, up-to-date areas, that's the reason why we found it. Your cost options, you can hire a company to collect aerial data, right? Excellent companies. They'll save you time. They have better quality. They've been doing it. They know what you need, right? What you need at the end. You do have to sacrifice costs, and repairs are sometimes timely. We bought this one as a do-it-yourself kit, and when we first sent it in, I think it took 6 months for us to get it back. So 6 months of people calling, hey, can you get this? Hey. So now I've rebuilt it about 3 times after crashes. You know, I pretty much built it myself. I already know the parts I have, the parts I need. It's, you know, you learn, right? And this is kind of what we wanted, the steps that we wanted to take, to kind of learn how to build it, how to keep it in the air, literally in the air. The other is to collect aerial data with your own UAV. There's a learning curve, right? Just like anything else. I was used to flying planes, never helicopters. It's more difficult. A plane, something goes wrong, it still glides down. Like a hexacopter, something goes wrong and it's falling out of the sky. Yeah. So 200 feet is pretty much literally, and then you gotta build it up again. The other thing you get from doing it this way, you have less quality. You don't know how to take the footage, get the wobbliness out. I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to get out of the way to get an actual good quality product in here. It does cost less. The hiring a company or maybe buying one from a company that already has this technology can run you up to $60,000 for a UAV. This one cost me $2,000. So $2,060, which is where you want to be. It costs less and repairs are quicker, right? If get your own parts and put it back on and you're up in the air again. It's not that easy. Maybe I'm making it sound too easy, but it's not. City of FAR decided to go the second option, right? Because we don't have a budget, right? So I actually got the fire department to purchase it for GIS, but I won't say that on camera, which I already did. And the city decided to invest the time, not the money, right? So that's why we're taking this road. And your long-term benefits, well, now that I know how to fly it, how to fix it, how to get it back up right away, you save time, you got better quality. It's been about a year now that we've been using this, the hexacopter. And of course it costs less and you got quicker turnaround. Something happens, you have a bad motor, you bring it down, you can tell. I can tell now, like when it's bad. I can replace it and throw it back in the air. And of course you have multi-department uses. You got police and fire. You have engineering. You have, of course, GIS using the hexacopter. And it's less expensive and less risky than manned flights. So, talking about the bill, I know some people want to know, okay, let's get to how much it costs, how do you make it, how do you build it. The frame costs about $329. You have a flight controller. If you're going to fly anything, you got to have a flight controller because that's what kind of keeps it, from tilting over on its own. And with that, you have to have a GPS and it's going to be autonomous. You're going to be able to give it waypoints and allow it to fly on its own. It's got to know where it's at. And telemetry, that's how we communicate from our laptop to the unit while it's in the air. It also allows for data communication, telemetry communication. And then your ESCs, which are these ESCs are the ones that distribute power to the motor. So from your transmitter to your flight controller, you're telling it what to do. The ESC decides how much power to send to each motor and kind of, it needs it. So you need a motor, you need an ESC, that's the only way it's going to fly. Your legs, you look at these legs, they've got corks in it, right? That's what you do once you start learning how to build your own stuff. It's either this, go down to Lowe's and just find a spacer that fits the 18mm spacing and do it yourself, or wait 30 days for a spacer to come in, right? So these are the kind of things that you learn. Okay, I can do this, right? Let's just go to Lowe's and get a spacer. That's why it has little spacers. You have your battery. There's your battery, that's the main battery. And this will keep it up in the air for about 15 minutes. And every battery is different. There's different battery sizes and all that, but you want to have a good, center. It's pretty centered. So it doesn't have to strain, put too much weight in the bag. And the motors in the back are working harder. You can overheat, motors. Then we have this little battery here. That's actually for our FPV. See the little camera? This little camera allows me to see where I'm going. And I go like this because I wear goggles. There's goggles that you can put into a monitor or whatever. It works the same way. And you got your video transmitter down here. And of course, the transmitter, which I forgot. I forgot to bring my transmitter, or else I would have been flying it out here getting some footage. And then you have your receivers, which is what your transmitter communicates with. Here's your receiver, and then we've attached those satellite receiver, which allows us to go a little bit further. All it does, if you know about frequencies or linear frequency, is that if this thing moves to the side, you start losing signal, right? Because you're here, but it's trying to balance itself. And the second that it goes like this, that's it, you lose control, right? So that's where the satellite kind of helps. It shoots it all over. You start learning all these things, I didn't know anything about it. Conclusion, create a budget. Parts, of course, you know, take into consideration maintenance. Don't expect quality right away, you know, you're just learning. Most of it, you know, you'll have to learn from the actual parts, what they do. Even calibrating. I know I made it sound like I replaced a motor, but then I got to calibrate the motor with the other motors. But they're all the same, you know. So that's what I'm saying. There's learning curve, but once you know, it's all good, you know. You have to have patience. I know a fire chief went out, I think twice, and it just fell out of the sky. And he's like, every time I go out, it falls out of the sky. I'm like, yeah, you're the problem, right? So, search for different vendors. You know, there's, most of these parts are made in China. I say most, I'm gonna say about 99% are made in China. So if you order something, order more than one, keep stock, right? Yeah, you don't wanna have something happen and then have to wait 30 days. And I think once I waited like 2 months for a part, but that's not like these little, you know, cords. You don't wanna wait 30 days just to get some spacers on your legs, right? And then plan on crashing a lot. And then I have, I had some video, it was on my hard drive, I was climbing trees. It's, you know, I'm gonna climb trees. And it's who draws the smallest straw, and it's like.
You need a UAV to go get your UAV.
Cherry picker.
So, any questions? I'll just leave that running. I guess we'll be running back. But any questions?
I have 2 questions. One, will this PowerPoint be on the stock site when this is all over with?
Yes.
If you want. Yeah.
For reference, if we decide to go to our powers
Yeah,
to be.
you can call me. I mean, you can call. I'll help you as much as I can. You know, over the phone.
Yes,
My other question is, did you go to any particular training to learn how to work on and fly them?
No. Like I said, I'm a hobbyist, so I already knew what it takes as far as you know, planes. I'm talking about home planes, you know, trainer planes.
You just talked him into buying you another toy. That's what you did.
That's it. We'll edit that out.
So do you have any examples of like the aerials you took and showing them an arc map or anything? Or like in GIS software?
I don't, because it's usually what, like fire department, of course it's gonna go on camera, but, you know, or police department asked us to get a certain area. And so what I did is I flew it, and then there was a raid later that afternoon. So it's kind of like, they need this, okay, I'm gonna get it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm not, as far as the only thing that I do have on ArcGIS is the aquatic center, because that's really the only place that the city has constructed that's like city use, right? That people can see every day.
What was the method you used? Did you use a GoPro to take those pictures?
Yes.
And then somehow geo-reference them after you
Right,
take the pictures?
and okay, that's a great question. I said Flight Riot, they have the software, and you have to have telemetry. You have to have a GPS on your camera, right? And what it does is when it's flying, right, it knows that it's tilted, or it knows if it's tilted forward or leaning back or whatever. So it'll look at the time of the picture, pull that telemetry in, right? Know where it was at, and say, you know, this picture was taken like this. This picture was taken like that. And so they have software that'll actually get it all nice and
Smooth it out.
yeah. And it's really awesome. I mean, I you know, there's some video there that I was taking to the park. It was very windy. South Texas is not the right, I'm gonna say it's not the right place. It's usually not, you know, windy. So it's always difficult to get good video. Sometimes you have to fly it again and again and again, and then, okay, this time it worked out, let's use that, you know. But, and that's another thing, have extra batteries. A lot of times things aren't gonna go right, you know, swap out the battery and get it back up. So have more than one.
So can you do the QA/QC out in the field? Like, can you use the software on the laptop, fly it, take 10 or 15 minutes while you're out in the field, look at it, and see how it looks, and say, okay, I'm gonna have to fly it again, or do you have to pull it all back?
It's, if you're talking about serving, no. It takes, and you know what, it depends on how how many photos you took. Because if you just took like 4 or 5, you know, it shouldn't take about 10 minutes probably to process. But some of these areas that I took, I would take at least 60 to 90 photos, just because I want to get, you know, not to get into like photogrammetry, which is another big word that I learned. You know, you want to leave the center part of the photo to like 60% or 30%. You know, you want to leave the center part as centered as you can without it going too high or too distorted. You know, because once you get to the edges, it starts distorting the photo. And so it's, you know, I try to shoot a picture every second. Of course, I just tell the GoPro 1 second, and then send it up. And so I usually get, when I get it back, I get about 400 photos, you know, or more, sometimes 1,200. So it's not something that I would recommend, unless, well, like us, we were out there sitting in the sun. It's usually like 98 degrees or 100 degrees. So that's why you kind of learn how to do it better, you know, after each time. And so you just go out there and pray.
Question. What kind of like permits or FAA agreement, or what do you have to get to do this, or can you do it as a hobbyist?
Well, as a local government, you're exempt.
Okay.
And I know this because I contacted them. I had commissioners and city managers and everybody asking me, is it safe, is it okay, can you find, how's it been? You know, so we have to do all the, you know, and we've got like 12 people on this. Nationally. Seriously, no, I'm not gonna worry about you. That's basically what he said. Just be safe, use your hobby, because I'm also involved with a local hobby group. And we have guidelines and stuff like that we use. You know, stay underneath 400 feet. Don't fly where there's people. And sometimes you have to take that, you know, I guess I'll call it ethically. You know, they want you to fly an event with people there. I said, no, I'm not gonna do it. Because there's always that chance, you know, that something will go wrong, something's gonna stop something, and then it falls on people. So you have to just.
If you or your city attorney looked at like the legal ramifications, let's say code enforcement uses that and sees something in somebody's backyard, does that require a warrant, or is that something they can use for actual code enforcement?
Actually, it hasn't happened, right, where I go out because they want me to check out an area or not. But the way I've set up GIS for them is I usually, what's it called, the swipe tool? Where I can put like aerials from 2004 to 2014, which we just got. And that's how they check now. Like they just, okay, oh, they built a shed in the back, or they did this, and then they'll contact them. That's the same thing. If you think about it, that's the same thing. But no, we haven't gotten to that issue, or you know, or even thought about it. I guess until now. That's something else.
What kind of range do you get with the video transmission over that?
Okay, video transmission. It really does. It depends on the wattage of your transmitter, and they have anything from 200 milliwatt to 600 milliwatt. And then also going back to the antenna types, they have those circular, you know, antennas that you won't. It'll allow for the for the hexacopter to tilt, you know, front, back, whatever. And still get good quality picture without it breaking up. And then, I mean, there's like, Ivy Crazy is one that he makes some crazy antennas that'll get you long range. We're talking like 10 kilometers, you know, and it's like, and of course it looks like a, you know, focused array or something. It's pretty neat. I don't use it because everything is, as a hobbyist, you try to keep everything within sight, you know, just for safety. But if I wanted to, I could send this thing to my house, 2 miles away, if I wanted, and not have to worry about loss of signal, or because you're talking about autonomously, I can control it. You know what I'm saying? But as far as safety is concerned, that's not a good tool. It's a way to use it. Yes.
How noisy is it? Like, so like this police scenario, right? Where you're like checking out this house or something. Can it be heard like, from the ground or not?
You can hear it. I think from this one, it's pretty loud. I'm gonna pull out my cell phone because I have a cell phone here while I'm doing it inside the training room, the fire department training room, to show how, I guess, well it can be controlled.
Yeah.
But I think about at 150 feet, you don't hear it. You don't know that it's there. About, and usually it would fly at like 250 or 300 feet. You can't even see it. You know, I know it's there because I'm looking at it and I'm looking down and I know where I'm at. But I wouldn't know, you know, that it's even happening. What's going on. And we don't, it's not like I'm gonna take it out there during a live break. I'm just gonna collect the data and tell them, you know, this is what's there right now. Because you don't want their friends with all AK-47s or whatever, you know, everybody having a barbecue, like, you know what I'm saying? You want everybody there waiting for the
I've been to
to come
far, I
in.
know how it is.
Yeah. And we're gonna set off the videos. But I guess that's my time, guys. Is there another question or anything?
We already get accused of having some of the best toys in the building. GIS in general.
Yeah.
We'd really be in trouble with
Oh,
that.
yeah. Trust me, I get it all the time. Oh, you're gonna go play with your toy? Like, you haven't heard, what is the other one? All my 7th grader can do what you do, right? You just cut the lines and draw squares. That's GIS.